Hi, I'm Terri with Prepped and Polished in South Natick, Massachusetts. I'm glad you could join me today. When the new SAT is rolled out in 2016, it will have more in common with the ACT. Both tests have a shared goal of aiming to measure a student's mastery of the content learned in school to predict college readiness. Both exams are designed to be relevant. In fact, the new SAT is aiming for more real-world applications and analysis from students. Today, I'll help you to begin the process of identifying which test is the best fit for you based on your learning style and your test-taking preferences. I'll give you a flavor of the key similarities and differences between the ACT and the new SAT. Most students are interested in the scoring of both tests, so let's take a look at that first. Scoring, ACT versus the new SAT. Key similarities. The first one's a stress reducer. Both exams, there's no points deducted for wrong answers. It's rights-only scoring, 1 point. So answer every question, even if you have to guess. There's no guessing penalty, so you can guess away. Both exams allow score choice. It's a score reporting feature that gives students the option to choose and report your best scores. Some key differences. The ACT, most colleges and universities chiefly look at your composite score, the average score of 4 subject test scores, math, English, reading, and science. The essay provides 2 additional scores. There's a writing test subscore, 2 through 12, and a combined English writing score, 1 through 36, and it doesn't affect your composite score. On the new SAT, the composite score is the sum of only 2 areas, evidence-based reading, evidence-based writing, and language, as well as math, and there's a score range of 400 to 1600. The essay results are reported separately. You're scored 2 to 8 on 3 traits: reading, analysis, and writing. Now let's compare the content area of both tests. This will give you a good view of the similarities and differences. ACT English versus new SAT evidence-based writing and language. Here's some key similarities. Now students will complete each content area in one big chunk. Gone are the broken up sections on the old SAT. You'll also be asked on both tests to improve the development, organization, and use of language in passages and to ensure that passages conform to the conventions of standard written English grammar, usage, and punctuation. Here's some key differences. The ACT English is 45 minutes, 75 multiple choice questions, so pacing has always been an issue. There's 5 different passage types testing punctuation, grammar and usage, and sentence structure. That's your usage mechanics subscore. And also testing strategy, organization, and style. That's your rhetorical skills subscore. Now on the new SAT, evidence-based writing and language, that test is 35 minutes and you have 44 multiple choice questions. So you have fewer questions. However, there's 4 challenging passages testing numerous content areas: history, social studies, humanities, science, and careers. There's multiple subscores. And this is different. The passages, the reading passages, include graphics and graphics-based questions. There's a strong focus on command of evidence and on relevant words in context. Now let's compare reading content on both tests. Here you'll find some significant differences. ACT reading versus new SAT evidence-based reading. Here's some key similarities. There's passages on both tests from a broad range of disciplines. On the ACT, prose fiction, social science, humanities, natural sciences, and on the new SAT, science, social studies, history, and literature. And of course, both measure your reading comprehension. There are some key differences here. The ACT, primarily you're using your referring and reasoning skills to determine main ideas, evaluate supporting ideas, understand sequence of events, and cause and effect relationships. On the new SAT, the questions require careful use of evidence to cite portions of text that serve as the best evidence for your conclusions. There will be a passage from a U.S. founding document, like the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. There's emphasis on analyzing data represented in informational graphics, and this is especially in the history, social studies, and science passages. And there's definitely more emphasis on words in context, words that students encounter in the classrooms or eventually in the workplace. Now let's compare the math content on the ACT and the new SAT and see how they stack up against one another. ACT Math versus new SAT Math. Some key similarities: they both have advanced math concepts, and both have several questions that are based on the same graph, chart, or a given scenario. Here's some key differences. On the ACT, there's 60 math questions in 60 minutes. Keep in mind that many students run short on time, designed to assess math skills that you've acquired up to the start of 12th grade. And the emphasis is on geometry, some algebra, and trigonometry. Trig doesn't appear on the new SAT. On the ACT, you have 4 out of 60 questions. And calculators are allowed on the test. On the new SAT, there's 57 questions in 80 minutes, so you do have much more time. And the focus is on data analysis, real-world problem-solving, algebra, some more advanced concepts to solve problems in science, social studies, and career-related contexts. There's questions about foreign exchange rates and voter turnout. The new SAT limits use of calculators to select sections. There's actually 20 questions where you're not permitted to use a calculator. A student will face opposite tasks on the ACT and the new SAT essays. On the ACT, a student is the author of a persuasive essay. On the new SAT, a student must critique an author's persuasive essay. ACT essay versus new SAT essay. Here's some key similarities. Both essays are optional but recommended. It's determined by the schools you're applying to. And they both appear at the end of the exam. Here's some key differences. On the ACT, a student will get a different prompt every test. You never know what you're going to get. But the prompt deals with policy issues primarily that are relevant to high school students. And the student must provide supporting reasons for his or her own point of view and counter-argue. The new SAT is very different. You have a common prompt for every test. You'll know what the prompt's going to be, but it's always from different sources. And a student must analyze and explain how the author of a passage constructed an argument, used evidence, and styled ideas to persuade an audience. One huge difference between the two tests is the ACT science test. The new SAT does not have a separate science section. This is a big consideration because the science test appears at the end of the ACT when students are typically tired. And many students, in my experience, find the format and questions to be difficult. Questions deal with data representations, conflicting viewpoints, and research summaries in biology, chemistry, physics, and earth and space sciences. So factor that into your decision making. This is a bonus tip for you. Every college and university in the U.S. accepts the ACT or the SAT with no preference for either test. So it really is up to you to determine which test feels right for you. Prepped and Polished can help you to make the best choice for a successful outcome. If you have any questions or you want more in-depth assistance either online or in person, simply email info@preppedandpolished.com and we'll be glad to help you. Good luck.